morning, honey. And we are at, well, I won't say an indeterminate point, but we are in the middle Pacific Ocean, right off the coast of Australia. There's a lot behind me, but also there's not that much behind me, depending on how you want to look at it. Right over my shoulder, way off in the distance, is Cairns. If you keep going further out, there's Smithfield up in the hills a little bit more, and Yorkeys Knob right there at the edge of the camera. Now if I turn just a little bit more, we should be able to see Trinity Beach as well, but the lighting's a little wonky, so now I've got Yorkeys Knob over my shoulder, Trinity Beach by the edge of the camera, and these are the towns on the coast. I'm not going to any of them. I'm taking a catamaran out to a platform in the middle of the Coral Sea, and hopefully I will see some coral, if you'll pardon the pun. And there's one of the catamarans behind us right now. And there seems to be a couple of them right up against the ship. Though in fairness, I'm not entirely sure how we expect to do this from the fifth deck. It all looks like it's a little further below us than all that. It's a bit of a madhouse trying to get on here. At this point, it's pretty much all full. So maybe I'll try and go upstairs, even though I'm just as soon not get sunburnt today. At least I don't want to get sunburnt while I'm on my way. Okay, second floor. Not much better, really. Looks like everybody else had the same idea. Gonna stay in the shelter. I ultimately did wind up on the sun deck, despite my wishes, and rather than talk into the camera, which would be drowned out by the wind anyway, I decided to make the best of it and get some sun. At least I had my hat to keep my head from getting burnt. I did think we could see the platform we were approaching just slightly to the right of center in this picture, but as it turned out, we were still a good 30 or 40 minutes away from our destination at this point. And now I'm up on the sun deck, where I found a map that shows where exactly we are in relation to the reef. And you'll notice it isn't one giant reef. It is a collection of various little ones. And this is only showing us as the southernmost point. And of course, as you know, since some of us were at Brownie Beach and on the reef there too, it goes even further south than that. It is colossal. Now we're not anchored into the ground at all. This is home on one great big pontoon boat, several times the size of the ferry. But it still can get pretty crowded. As you can see. So I'm just trying to stay out of the way of the chaos. I have to confess, there's such a crowd here, it's very hard to find a quiet spot to actually film. And what I do film is not particularly spectacular, probably why there's not a big crowd here. Like I said, everybody's getting ready to go scuba diving or snorkeling or what have you. And since I've resolved that that's not for me, I might go in swimming a little later on, unless it requires donning one of those suits. You see, we got one of the glass bottom boat tour going out right now. I think there's a couple others going out at some point, so I'll wait and go on that a little later on. At the moment, there's just a lot of chaos going on. I'm just trying to stay out of it. They have glass bottom boat tours leaving from the platform on regular intervals every half hour or so, and I managed to get myself onto one. Our guide turns out to be quite knowledgeable about coral, which turns out to be a good thing as there are precious few fish that come by us on our particular tour.
You have your hard coral and your soft coral. So the hard corals are the ones that are standing very still against the current, guys, and your soft corals are the ones that will be moving, waving around with the current. Scientific name for these guys I could not tell you because they contain up to 8 to 10 syllables, so I would not be able to tell you that, guys. But we do number down to what we see it as, guys, right below us. So you have your spaghetti coral, that's the ones waving around, guys. These ones that look like fingers with branches on them, those are your staghorn coral. Little pretty white ones, clustered of them, that's your Christmas tree corals. The wavy ones around there, guys, those are your elephant ears coral. More different types of corals below, guys. What's this, if anyone can tell me what this big brown flaky looking one called? Anyone can have a guess? Cabbage, yeah. Cabbage coral, guys. So that one there, pretty healthy, guys, brown one. So with the coral garden section, guys, we did have a pretty severe cyclone back in 2011, category 5. It was pretty destructive and took out nearly half of every coral in this area. So, can everyone say that for me?
Nayawago.
So, Golka again meaning spear, guys, and Nayawa meaning turtles. So this is your turtle spear, also larger marine life as well, such as sharks, crocodiles. We would just jab it into the back of a turtle. We would have a little spear tip there, guys, but due to work health and safety on this vessel, it got taken off.
I was wondering why it wasn't sharp.
Yeah, there's a little hole at the end, guys. We put the spear tip in there, and what we would make that spear tip out of, guys, is don't have it here with me, guys. And it's the manatee bone, pretty strong and dense. We would carve it into a spear tip shape and put it on the end there, guys. So yeah, with the turtles out here, guys, turtles are just like birthday cakes, so you would not eat it every day, or you shouldn't eat birthday cakes every day. So yeah, guys, we would catch turtles out here back then for during very special events such as weddings, birthdays, special ceremonies. And one of them ceremonies, guys, is boys becoming men. So the boys that wanted to go hunting. So back on Green Island, guys, back on land there, we passed Green Island along the way. We would send, back in the days, the older generation would send these little boys out to Green Island, and they would leave them there for up to 2 weeks, guys, and leave them there with nothing, drop them off on the beach side and just leave them there to survive. No spear, no canoe to leave them there, so they can leave anytime they want. So they'd have to look after each other and, catch food on their own. And once that 2 weeks is up, guys, the boys would eventually come back to Cairns, and they would have to come back alone by themselves. That we don't go and pick them up, so they'd have to make their own canoe as well after that 2 weeks. And paddle all the way back to Cairns from Green Island, and after that we'll give them a very special ceremony for them, congratulating for them to becoming men. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys, for that.
What percentage you made it?
Pretty much all percentage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I die out there.
For the indigenous side, growing up with the hunting side of things, and the boys wanted to get among it, so they had to learn to adapt pretty fast, and they already kind of knew in the back of their head what was going on.
I honestly thought I had less time than I actually did. So I'm going to hang around here for a couple of minutes before heading out and catching the semi-submersible. See how that goes. Honestly, I thought we needed to be on the ship by 3 o'clock in order to head home. So, I'm actually calling it that. Anyway, I might want to show you some more fish, yeah? There's a certain irony in the fact that I was able to see more fish right around the pontoon as opposed to the glass-bottomed boat tour, for instance. Although, in fairness, it could be argued that the fact that we had already had lunch and some of the leavings might have just been thrown overboard for them, like they do on the ship, could actually attract the marine life in a way that just going out into the open ocean doesn't. I will also say that I'm not quite as impressed by their choice of background music. To be fair, I don't really want music in the background when I'm looking at all this stuff, because Well, if I'm filming it and uploading it to YouTube, I'm probably going to get a strike for something or other. But I have to admit that looking at these things brings to mind Camille Saint-Saëns' aquarium from the Carnival of Animals more than it does Katrina and the Waves, which admittedly doesn't have the same negative overtones in Australia as it does, say, in New Orleans, but still, it just doesn't seem to work as well. Managed to get to work earlier. At least I'm very in this semi-submersible. This is a little deeper than the glass bottom boat. We're actually underwater down here. So, get a little closer look at the wildlife of the coral. Shall we? Right from the start, there is already more marine life on the submersible than there is on the glass bottom boat. Mostly because we're right by the pontoon when we're looking out.
You guys sit back, relax, and have a nice ride. Woo!
And with that, our guide leaves us more or less to our own devices to enjoy the scenery as it floats by us. Both the coral that we see at first, which is very similar to that which we saw on the glass-bottomed boat, and later, the vast amount of marine life that swims past us as we go by, curious as to who we are and what it is that we're interested in. To them, this is basically ordinary life as they know it. To us, it is a strange, exotic world that we have never, because we can never, see it on a routine, day-to-day basis. That's right. The whole exotic versus mundane dichotomy works just as well between species and biomes as it does for humans from one city or one country to another. This is all strange and exotic to us, but for the fish and mammals that call the reef home, well, this is just home as far as they're concerned. Nothing too out of the ordinary for them. And yet we find it fascinating, and justifiably so. This isn't something that we can spend great deals of time in. And yet to sit there and watch as one school passes by going one direction and another in another direction, and crossing each other without crashing into each other, it's a fascinating ballet to stare at. That was an adventure. As opposed to a glass bottom half submarine. First one in, here comes the last one out. Alright. I'm afraid it's a bit of a madhouse here, honey. Not very quiet. not very subtle or anything like that. But of all the places you'd probably want to have been, I might as well let you be here in the midst of the Great Barrier Reef. We're 70 kilometers away from land. Can I imagine you being anywhere else? So, welcome. There'll be plenty more places to stop, but I'm sure you'll enjoy this one. Oh, who knows? Maybe these little fish are going to eat them. Let's see. Anyway, see you at our next stop.